Hi, welcome to Productive C#. In this video, I want to talk about the element operators in LINQ. I have a console application in Visual Studio 2017. In the main program, I have an array of names with Andrea, Michela, and Matteo. Let's have a look at the first element operator, that is first, that allows you to get the first element from a collection. So let's create a variable first name and use names.first. So this is very simple. So let's print this to the console, and there we go. Right. So this method first is simply taking the first element from a collection and printing it. If you want to do the something similar, I'll get the last element. Let's say last name. You can use last, and then you can do something similar here and print the last name. There we go. Let's run it and see. And you print Andrea and Matteo. Okay, let's say I want to pick a particular element in a particular index of the collection. You can use the element at operator. So let's say I want to get the middle name, this is Michela, and names dot element at 1. There we go. And then I want to print it as well. Middle name. Okay, let's run it. There you get all the three elements. Okay, fairly simple. But now, what happens if the collection is empty, for example? All right, let's try to comment this out and create an empty array. Run it, we get an invalid operation exception because the sequence contains no elements, and you are trying to get the first element. It doesn't exist. So first, throws an exception if there is no nothing in the collection. And the same is for last and element at. Okay, if you want to create use a method that doesn't fail, doesn't throw an exception when you call it, you can use the version or default. All right, and you can do the same for all of these methods. There is an override for all of these methods. There we go. Now, if I run it, it doesn't fail. What happens is that it returns the default value of the particular type you are looking at. In this case, a string. The default type is a null because it's a reference type. And this allows you to do something like this. Like, for example, in case there is no element, you can say something like no first name, like that. And you could do something similar here. Let's say no middle name. And here I could say no last name. Okay, if you run it, you actually get nothing like that. If I now comment this out, get the previous array, you can see that you actually get the elements. If I remove all the elements and I leave like single elements, now I expect that first and last will work, but element at 1 will fail because there's no element in position 1. Let's see, and now you get no middle name. Okay, the last operator I want to talk about is single. So let me try to create a new variable, single name, and I call the single operator. Let me print this variable, the console, and let's run the program. As you can see, the result is exactly the same as calling first. So at the first look, the two methods might look similar. However, single is interesting because it requires that the collection only contain a single element. If there are more than one element, let's say 2 elements, and I run it, we get an invalid operation exception. So the sequence contains more than one element. And the same happens if the collection is empty. I run it, of course I can do that. Maybe I'll comment that. If it's empty, I get a sequence contains no elements. All right. So this is very important to remember. It's a very different behavior than first. However, you can still use single or default and say collection is empty, something like that. So if the collection is empty, single or default return null. But it's very important to say that if there are more than one element, single or default still throws an exception because it still requires that there is at least 0 or 1 element in the collection. And this is pretty much it. So these are all the 8 element operators in LINQ, and they are very convenient, allows you to access the first element, the last element, any element in a particular position in a collection, or the single that is particularly interesting. To be honest, single is very rarely used, but it's important to know that it exists in the framework. Thank you very much for watching.